Oh man. Hey there. I'm Eric. I'm making a game. I'm gonna code it. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna make this game. It's called the God Killer. It's a top-down puzzle game. You have this character. You solve puzzles. You fight enemies. It is not like any other game you played. Well, you know what? I'll say that's a hard statement to make. It is not more than 23% like any other game you've played before. Because nobody just makes a game from nothing. Even like the person who made Pong was like, I saw somebody playing ping pong once, and I'm making this game Pong, and it's going to be a lot like that. Um, Pretty impossible to make a wholly original game. But this one, you're going to be kind of amazed at the new things that are in it. And I set out to make something pretty friggin' unique and new. I got really excited at the beginning of that journey, and now I'm having maybe second thoughts. Like this thing I made, maybe it's a little too complicated. Maybe it's trying to be too many things at one time. Just because I can write the code to make this thing, and I've got it like 90% there. Like it's real close to being like a completely developed thing. Aside from the cosmetics, it's got ugly graphics. But the gameplay is like almost entirely logic complete on it. There's some known bugs, but it works. Still, I might pull it apart and redo it or make it different. And I'm going to show you what I'm struggling with. So this is my game here. By the way, if anybody happened to miss me at Sunday, previous Sunday, at 3 p.m. I'm actually somewhat sorry about that. I mean, I did announce that I wasn't going to be there, but I really am trying to. You'll see the schedule down here. Weekly schedule, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. ish. Give myself a little break there if I'm here at 6:05. Sunday, 3 p.m. on the dot. PST, God Killer Gamedev Sundays. What is the point of that if I don't honor that schedule? Well, let's just say I aim to be fairly consistent with it. And this previous week there was some other thing I had to go do. I did give a few warnings, but pretty much you can treat this like it's written in stone or granite or gold. Gold, that would be a better one because it's somewhat malleable, but mostly solid and permanent. It's written in gold. My weekly schedule, Monday through Thursday, I'll do a live coding session like the one you're watching, around 6 p.m., probably ending around 8. Okay, Sunday, it's going to be something more like a game demo or level design, not coding, showing off the game, and I almost always, start those at 3 p.m. on the dot, because I've got time to prepare and have my shit in order right before it starts. Okay, so let's get to live coding. Trenchers. These things called trenchers. I'll just show them to you. I'm in Unity. This is the Unity scene editor. And this is my project. This is stub art. I know it looks ugly. I don't care at this point. And I also know how to make it look beautiful later. You just have to trust me on that. So this thing is a trencher. It has a body that is 1 square high. In this world, the exact measurements of things matter a lot, and you'll maybe come to realize that. And it's got another head piece that is another square higher. So it's 2 squares high in total. When it moves, it really prefers to stay inside of these trenches. It will not, in fact, walk outside of them. It might get pushed out of them or something causes it to be outside the trench, but of its own volition, it will not leave the trench. This beam here that extends from its head, cosmetically I had it planned to be a creature with its mouth forever open and a fiery beam coming out of his mouth. It flings all the way out to wherever an obstacle is and stops. That's the main character right there that you control. And so these little dudes, the trenchers, they would move around And in fact, I will just show you. I'll show you what they do. It's nothing embarrassing. I feel whelmed, not underwhelmed, not overwhelmed, just whelmed. So I'm controlling my character, and each trencher, here's one, is just choosing a beeline path to me. If it's blocked, the path to me, he'll stop. Now, this trencher is going to walk into the beam of another trencher, and that will cause that trencher to die. Okay, so then that dead trencher just went off and respawned someplace. So you see there's these guys roaming around, and you know, if I go into the path of a beam, I die too. Okay, and I respawn immediately. That's the nature of the game. Things respawn really quickly. Now, a beam is one high. If I go down into the trench, I'm basically safe from the beam. If I get in a different direction than the beam is pointing, I'm totally safe from the beam too. The beam is just facing north. It's going to kill anything north. See, right now I'm underneath a beam from a different trencher. And I kind of don't like this thing of being able to be underneath the beam. It feels to me like it's hard to tell by looking at the screen quickly that you should be safe. Also fairly easy most of the time to evade. Now I could set up the level. I could design the level specifically so it's difficult to evade. That would be more like I've got like a lot more walls that prevent movement out of the path. I could put spikes around the trenches so you can't get into them. As soon as you get in the trench, it's very easy. Like, they can't hurt you as soon as you're in the trench. The other thing I'm not really liking, their lack of power is the first thing. The second thing is they're a little bit hard to understand because they've got this two space high behavior. So they've got a body space beneath and a head on top. That's a little bit hard to make sense of. You have to have some extra knowledge of these things. It's not intuitive. You have to be thinking, okay, it's got its body in the trench, it's got its head above the trench. The trench defines where it's able to move pretty well visually, but if we get out of the 2D-ness of this layout and make it a little more 3D, and well, I'll go to one area that's more 3D. Okay, this is actually an area where they're doing a pretty good job of messing with me, except those two here are going to die in a second. No, I guess not. There's a bug there. So I can't walk across the beam. So there is maybe a little bit of threat there. I'm not really able to cross that beam very well. So they can box me in that way. But it feels fairly hard to get them set up that way, and they're a little hard to understand. I could have to really contrive the level to do that. So let me go to the part where it gets a little 3D. I'm going to lead one over to the area that I'm talking about. See, and then right there, like, suddenly there was a beam above my head, and it seemed like, oh, I'm dead. But no, you're not, because it's one square high. And this game doesn't really show depth that clearly. It shows the other dimensions super clearly, but not depth. So having a lot of stuff that depends on you recognizing the depth of things and making decisions based on that, I don't think it's going to work real great for this game. So right now, here's like where it's gotten a little complicated. There's one trencher who's higher up than the other two. His beam is shooting above their heads. Underneath of his beam, there's a trencher here whose head is, it's just one lower. Underneath the trencher's head is the trencher's body and a trench. So it feels like it's going to lead to overly complicated situations. Just visually difficult to understand. So now I'm thinking, like, what I want to do is better, but not throw this all away, because there are some things that I liked a lot. So I'm not getting rid of beams. I might get rid of the idea of a 2 square high creature. That kind of makes sense to me. It seems to be the heart of the complexity. So I could make these little ball things move around on like a track. Was another thing is I didn't feel like they would be as cool if they just moved wherever they wanted. So that was the idea of the trenches, that you would have like essentially like a little track that these beams could move along. But I could just make some other kind of thing that's on top of the ground that defines a track, and then the head moves on it, and the head's just on top of this area here. Or, I mean, the head is just basically 1 square above the ground, not 2. And then it's a lot simpler to understand, I think. So I'm thinking that's probably the way I'm going to go. Even if that means throwing away a fair amount of work. I think I put in like maybe 12 hours or so on the current implementation of this trencher. The other thing I might salvage from this is the trencher without being 2 stories high. So I might keep this creature that just runs around in trenches, because that's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of fun to interact with. So I'm still thinking of keeping that. But the first thing I'm going to do, and I'll start with this session, is, although it hurts, I'm going to take the head off of the body and make it a separate thing. So unplay. Then I'm going to get to basically save a little checkpoint here, because I'm about to do something I might want to come back from. So git commit everything. For a message I'll say, before I dismantled the trencher. And I do feel like a bad father for doing this, because this thing was my baby. I had so much hopes for it. But you will get to live on in a slightly different form. I'm just going to chop off your body, that's all. It'll be okay. You're just going to lose your body. Okay. So this thing that is a trencher head. By the way, I wrote like so many unit tests for this thing. So the thing that I'm now calling a trencher, I want to do this incrementally instead of trying to do it all at once. So let's do the trencher piece, and it will no longer have a head. So anything related to the head that's in here, I'm gonna take it out. Take out this trencher headpiece stuff. Add to board. Okay, so I get to take out that headpiece. That's the code where it adds the head. I get to change the place where the beam emits from to be down one lower. I get to take out my tricky function that checks for both the head and the body to be blocked. I can just use the default one. I can take out this function. Anything where it says head, I get to do some deletion. These overrides were specific to the head. Take those out. I do like it when code gets smaller and shorter. You can feel everything simplifying. Do I need to override walk? I do not. So walk is back to being the default. I'm going to leave this trench beeline thing as it is just for the moment. Die, I don't have to override die because that was all this extra stuff I had to write because of that silly head. Actually, in my initial planning, I wrote a note to myself and I said, but this will be really complicated with the head. Do you really want that? And I didn't listen to that version of myself. But it's hard to know what version of yourself you ought to listen to. So I won't beat myself up over that. There's a lot of versions of myself that are idiots too. I shouldn't listen to all of them. Okay, so let me think. What could I be missing? The stuff that discovers the trencher and sets the trencher up. No, I think even that's good. Let me just try it as it is now. Fair chance it just won't work at all. Oh, I might as well, yeah, I should fix these up a little bit. Okay. So let's fix up the cosmetics so they match with the logic, because it's no good to have a trencher that looks really tall when in reality, in his logical definition, he's not tall. He's just a shorty. But I do like the idea of maybe I'll just take out this body. Don't really need that. I'll put the head in there. Well, it already is there. Okay. Let me see if I can do this elegantly. Okay, so if I take the beam, the head. Let's move the head. And put it down to 0.7. And the beam. And I put it down to 0. And all this other stuff I got in here that isn't that round icosahedron is what it's called. If I said it right, I can just take that out. Maybe I'll leave the particle thing in there. Okay, so delete that. What will that do? Particle view, huh? Okay. What will that do? Something won't work. I'll be extremely lucky if this works the first time. Let's go up. Oh, it's still moving. Oh, it's still beaming. And then, like, something fucked up. Like, he killed himself, something along those lines. That's okay. I didn't expect it to work the first time. The fact that it's sort of working is good. Okay, he killed himself. He seems to kill himself when he moves west into his own beam. Is that what's going on? Yeah. So I'll try to keep him alive a little bit longer. I feel a lot of weird CPU slowdown. Makes me think that I haven't written that I've got like some effects that are still playing. Okay, yeah, he's getting killed on his own beam. Although I can never tell when I'm streaming if I'm losing CPU to the video stuff. If I was going to give myself a Christmas present, it might be some kind of hardware video encoder type of a thing. Actually, the Mac is supposed to have one built into it, but when I tried it, it was causing all kinds of problems. Okay, and then I'm somehow not able to go over the top of them, which I don't like. Okay, you know what? This is off to a good start. There's a bunch of bugs in it. So let me think, what's the next thing I want to fix? I don't want to add the tracks yet. I feel like I feel like that will be fairly easily solved. I might as well fix the problems that I see right now as I see them. And I can do a lot of that inside of the unit tests, which I already wrote. So I think I will adjust them for the new rules. This thing is probably not going to be called a trencher before it's over, because it's not going to walk around trenches. Anyways, I'll come to that later. Let's get this thing bug free next. So I've got some basic unit tests here for just shooting the beam off in different directions. Let me update those. So I'm checking if I place the guy here and he shoots a beam north, is this square going to hold a beam? Does the beam hit that square? And I'll do the same with these others. But let me just, before I repeat the pattern, let me just make sure that that test at least is functioning as expected. Okay, good. I wrote so much code for this guy. think I'll end up deleting about half of it. Okay, so 2, 2, 1. Okay, same deal here. No headpiece anymore. Okay, beaming east, that'll be 3, 2, 1. South. No headpiece. It's going to be 2, 3, 1. West, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so 2, is it 2, 2, 1? Just here. I want to check for here and here. So that's 2, 1, 1. 2, 0, 1. Check if the beam destroys the player. I decided that my block pieces, I do not want the beam to destroy them. Because it should be a fun bit of puzzle solving to push blocks in front of beams and have them affect the path, and maybe give yourself some sanctuary. Okay. So let me just try that first round of tests. See how they're doing. Okay, I wrote about half of them there. So beams northeast, southwest, all works. Beam destroys player, does not destroy block. Stops it at when it's out of bounds. This one I didn't update, but it still worked. Interesting. So I'll just keep going through them. Looks like I'm about halfway through them. These are the ones that I expect to correspond to the failure I saw. So if I'll call him a beamer for now. If my beamer, since at some point I'm going to make him so he doesn't walk in trenches. If my beamer has the beam going north, and then he walks into that same direction, I don't want the beamer to die. I'm going to rename this guy right now. Search, find, no, search, replace. Edit. Replace in files, okay. Trencher piece, do beamer piece. I'm just going to do it. Okay. Rename this to beamer test. So this is where I think it's gonna get rough. What? Beamer piece. Okay, phew. So then I gotta think about this. How do I keep Okay, so how do I keep him from killing himself? I think of one way to do it, but I don't know if it's a good way. So things like this, I like to write out my options. When it's not clear what the right way to do it is, and I want to write down my options. How to keep Beamer from self-killing. Number 1, remove his beam before movement and add back after. So there's some bad sides to that. Need to change code in a bunch of places. Might also stop Beamer from killing other things while moving. And if the beam is lethal and I remove it from the logic, then it would not kill the Beamer while he was moving, but also other things. So I kind of dislike that option. Add ownership to beam definition and never allow a beam to kill its owner. This one I like better. It already beats number 1. So I'd have to do something like I've got this structure called a beam, and right now it's got information here about the span of the beam, what squares it travels through. But thinking about it a little more, I don't need to add anything to this for that solution. What I'd have to do is update beam util. Does any beam hit square? I could have it, instead of returning true if a beam hits a square, I could have it return the thing that it hit. I shouldn't do it yet. I should just Let's go back to where I was. This one looks so promising, I may stop my brainstorming and just get to implementation pretty quick. So that's a pretty good option. I think I would change this to be which beams hit square, something like that. Maybe it's, I see, maybe I'm trying to be too general purpose with it. I could just add a parameter called iBeam emitter, except emitter. And if that's specified, then I can add to the logic, basically, does any beam except one from this particular emitter hit the square? I was trying to do something like a little bit trickier, like which beams hit the square, and then return an array of all the emitters that were hitting. And then I thought, like, that's writing extra code and logic for a situation that I don't know that I'll need it for. And so it may seem a little less elegant to add like this little exception clause here, but that matches with my use case. That matches what I actually need. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be this number 2 option. I'm just thinking just for a little bit longer, is there a number 3 option? Because this one is pretty good. It's really a pretty decent option. I just don't see one that isn't just horribly convoluted. I just think this is the obvious one. So let's go back to beam util, and let's make this iBeam emitter, beam emitter. You know what, I'm just going to do an override. This isn't a lengthy function, and even though you're not supposed to optimize early, I know this thing gets called a lot, so I just feel like I'm going to make 2 versions of it. I'm not even going to try to write it super dry, because there's short functions already, except beam emitter. And I'll say if beam emitter equals except beam emitter. Skip over this one. These are not the beams you're looking for. Okay. I'm just going to name this differently. I know I could do an overload, but I'll be honest, like, overloads are not my favorite feature of I mean, I like an overload where you're basically passing a different version of the same value, and it's almost just more of a convenience thing. I like those kind of overloads, but I don't really like differing behavior based on the overload. So I'm gonna use this, and let's go back. Let's think about where that needs to be called. The new function. Pretty easy way to figure it out is just search where it's currently. Oh, it's only being called in one place. Okay. So here I need to do wow. Okay, so if this is I already know I'm not going to be happy with this. I already know I'm not going to be happy. Alright, at least let's refactor out this massive bit of logic that's going in. Bool. Check for beam death. Say this ref board, no, not this. I don't need to pass this. Okay, ref board ref effects. Okay. All right. I need to say check for beam death. That should do it. That should do it. I'm going to put this here. Is dead equals there should be a way to write this without a double cast. I know there is. That, or the other version of this, the faster one, and this function can get called pretty tightly, so I don't mind having two versions of it. I mean, an optimized version that doesn't do that except for your self check, that's fine. Oh, do I actually need this to be a cast? Why don't I just say that I can remove a cast? I can make this just piece, except I'm being foolish. I'm just like fussing around with things that don't need to be fussed with. I'm pre-optimizing. I'm optimizing too early. Okay, so that should do it. That should make it so that it's just fine. It's just fine for a beamer to walk in the direction of its own beam. Part of the trick here is that there is no such thing in this world of moving partially into another square. You're either in the square or not. So if the beamer is moving north into a square, his beam is not going to move simultaneously with him. He will move north, bam, and then a little bit later the beam will get updated to also move north, and there'll be a period of time where the beamer has moved north one square and is entirely inside of a square that the beam hits. And Yeah, that's kind of a side effect of the world being quantized on these squares. So, anyways, let me see if it's able to walk north now. No, not yet. Okay, so 144. 144 of the beamer test. Is that going to the right place? No, I don't think it was. No, I think it was going to some old code. So anyways, let's run the beamer test. Yeah, okay. All good. Can now walk onto his own beam. And I'm pretty okay with the solution. Okay, now for the easier stuff. So this one walks south. I checked that he was at 231 here, and I checked that his beam was in these squares north of his new position. Okay, west. Okay, and east. Okay, this test is moot. There's no head. Same for this one, no head. This one I just fixed the starting condition, like where the player is at when the player walks into the beam. So I'll just put the player down on the same level as the beamer, who's now only one square high. Okay, same deal here. These little periods mean a square height of 1. The O's mean a square height of 2. It's a little notation that I use to write the unit tests without needing to create like a real 3D scene in order to test this. Since it's purely logical stuff, need to change the positioning there a little bit. 222. Okay, let's put the beamer there. And beamer head is no longer something to worry about. Okay, let's see how my unit tests are doing. All green, baby. Run it from the top. All green. So that's worth a playthrough to see what other bugs present themselves before I move on to the next thing. It's always good to fix bugs close to when you see them, close to when the code's fresh in your mind. It goes a lot faster that way. Okay, let's watch you walk back. Okay, that's cool. There, I died. Nice. Now, one thought I'm having, like this creature, it might be it might still be pretty fun if I changed it around a little bit. Like, suppose that I let it turn its head. It had to stay in the trenches. And then you were just really just trying to stay, like right there it would flip its beam south, right at my heels, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get away. Gotta get away. Can I get away in time? And then right here it's going to come up. One more. Am I going to be able to get out of the way in time? I see the stairs there. And I probably would have died right there. Here, it's like, oh, I'm dead. As soon as he gets around that corner, I'm dead. Just kind of feeling like... Now that's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. So this might split out into two beam emitting things. I wanted one that kind of stays on a track and is able to like strafe along a plane. And that one I might like make something like a physical track. And that one I'd make it so that it always faces the same direction. It's almost more like a mechanism than an intelligent creature. While this one could be something that pursues you through the trenches. And then I'd have to rename it back to Trencher, since that would be its big characteristic. Well, I'm gonna die in the seg. Find a way out of the trench. Okay, phew. Okay, now I go back down again and dead. Yes, I'm dead. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I could split this in two. Split this in two. And this one just be the trencher that stays in the trench and pursues you with that beam that will kill you if it turns around. Huh. Or is it really one creature and there's just like maybe it's just one creature, but sometimes it's on a track. The only thing I seem sure about is that I don't like the head popping up over the trench. And now that that's taken care of, it feels like the pressure's off. I can do different things with this guy. So I don't really need, for this game element, to have the behavior of staying in trenches. Because if I didn't make that a limitation of the creature, I could just level design such that the walls around him were too high instead of one, and that would have the same effect of keeping him in the trench. And that would give me more freedom on different levels to have him behave in different ways. Alright, I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. So first off, let us change his behavior a bit. I'm just going to delete the trencher headpiece. I don't think I'll look back on that one. Yeah. Okay. So his react behavior, right now I have it doing a special thing called trench beeline. I could just have it be beeline. What was it? Simple beeline? That's it. Okay, so now it's going to come up out of the trench, I think. Yep. Okay. That's fine. I kind of like that. Let's see how it's coming for me. So right now I'm pretty safe to just kind of go around. I feel like I should make it pushable. So I have another creature that's not pushable, and Like, it would be more distinct if the beamer was pushable. I also wrote a whole bunch of code that would allow it to kill like everything that crosses its path when it gets pushed, and I definitely want to see that. So let's go and set. Boy, my voice really goes towards the end of the day. What to think about that? Is pushable. Just take that out. And build that. And let's add some things for this guy to slaughter. Let's get some brawlers out there. Come on, Spinny. Yeah, brawler. In fact, let me just set up the situation that I want to test more directly, which is just a strafing massacre. You'll see what I mean by strafing. So I have all these creatures here. I got the beamer. I'll move up to their level, and I'll take the player. I'll get the player ready to push the beamer. Yeah, it looks right. Try it out. Okay. So what I really hope happens is that when I push that beamer north, that the beamer just immediately kills all of the brawlers that are north. And that's what happened. That happened exactly as I had hoped. There, I got killed. That's cool. So one thing I notice when this thing is out on an open plain, it makes a little more sense for it to favor, like if you're a diagonal from the beamer, it makes more sense for it to favor traveling the shorter of either the north-south or the west-east directions, which is the opposite of what I do with the brawlers. Because it doesn't really need or even want to close the distance with you like brawlers do. it's better off if you're just in the same line with it and it's far away. So it's actually should have the opposite movement algorithm as the brawlers do, as far as favoring which of the two distances to pick. I do kind of like this thing being a simple ball. I don't know. I shouldn't get married to it's how it's represented right now. Algorithm first, gameplay first. Okay. Another thing I'd like to try is making it be able to switch its beam, and I think that'll be good. So it's starting to shape up. I feel relieved. It's like breaking up with a bad girlfriend. First you feel terrible, and then, oh, maybe it was good. Maybe it was a good thing. Okay. So let's call this a beam or beeline. And I'll go call it something more general in case a different creature uses it. Favor distance, beeline deltas. So the nature of this is that it would pick first let's see, favor. Okay, that's fine. So I like that. I don't always consistently make everything dry. Sometimes it's just, there's not that big of a reason to. Like right here, I have two functions, they're right next to each other. They both have this block right here. This block of code that is exactly the same. I could refactor that into a separate little function. It's just not that big of a deal. I mean, I've got all these functions are right in this module. They're all pretty easy to see how they work. If I did refactor this, I'd have to give it some name like that's, you know what, that's almost like the thing that kills it for me. If I can't think of a good name for what that bit of refactored code is going to do, then I know it's not going to save me time. You know, I'd have to call it something like add deltas by favored direction. And then I'd have to pass all this junk that it uses. I'd have to pass favor vertical, DRDC. It would return delta. I'd have to pass deltas to it. I'd have to pass 5 parameters to it and return what it did. And anytime I went to read this function, I'd have to say, okay, what the hell does add deltas by favor direction do? And I'd jump over to that. And there's no easily understood, easily encapsulated idea of its function in the name or in what you pass to it. So fine, leave it here. Leave it here. Have it be copied again. The worst that happens is sometime in the future I end up making a small change to one of these things and I have to go down a little bit and change it there too. Possibly I might forget to do that, but it's just, I guess what I'm saying is, like, not every single programming rule should be followed 100%. I guess I'm taking the same reasoning with these beeline functions. Okay, but I mean it's not like there's a lot of logic here. It's more like it calls the functions that compose the logic. So it's not that bad, is what I'm saying. And it might even be better this way. I think it is, for me personally, to understand it and use it, to have it be composed this way, as opposed to making it super dry, which would look kind of beautiful to simple eyes. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do in here was get it turning its head. But I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna test out how the new movement algorithm works to start. I think it'll be an improvement. But I want to check it. I want to see am I on the right track with it. The idea is I want that beamer to hang back a little bit, let other things charge in, and it'll concentrate on sniping at you. It will eventually close the distance, but first it's going to line up on you, then it will close the distance. Okay, so I go off this way. Whoops. So if I go south, I expect it to also go south with the new algorithm. See, it's closing it's not closing the distance yet. It's deciding first to line up with you from afar, with the shorter of the two distances. Now, the other change I'll make that will make this a lot more deadly is having its ray point in your direction. So then I go over here, should be the same deal. Yep, it's concentrating on bringing that deadly ray down, and I am afraid I can maybe get away from it. I got it underneath it, just barely in time. Then I can bring this ray across and have it kill some of my other enemies. Dead. Boom. Boom. So that's cool. Now, I do like this dynamic where you can use the ray to go after your enemies too. And this is starting to feel fun to me. So I can see I'm safe now. I know that if I wait too long, he's not done. He'll come over the top of that one step high piece there. So I think I'm safe, but he's still coming. He's still coming. And one more, and he comes down, and I'm dead. So I'm gonna fling myself south. and I'm safe again. Now, if I do the head rotation thing, I would immediately see that beam pointing south at me. I'm interested in seeing that rotation work. So let's do that next. Okay, this might be smart. I'll make sure it is a beamer piece. Oh, beam emitter, I should say. Beam emitter. That's okay. That's okay. I don't need to put this all there like that. I can do. I can keep that like that. I can call this, instead of beam or beeline, I'll call it favor distance beeline. And then I'll add the new one for public static pool. Rotate beam towards target. My beam emitter, and I'm on the fence about putting this in beam util instead of here. I could just put it inside of the beamer. I could just do that. Something cool. Oh, I'm excited about one little thing. I'm gonna try. First I gotta do the beam rotation. Okay, so let's go back to the beamer. Favor distance beam line. Okay. Let's say I should do this. So what is the algorithm for this? I'm thinking about the different cases. I want it to be kind of like an X. Which direction it goes in. I want it to be a little bit like there's 4 quarters, but they're on diagonals, and if you, the player or target, are here in this one, you go, the beam goes north, here it goes east, here it goes west, south, and here it goes west. That's the logic that I want. I'm thinking about it mathematically with booleans and stuff. How do I get that? Maybe it's let's see. Y less than or equals 0. If it's in the top half, then right, okay. So these lines, this line here, what is that definition? It'll be kind of like okay, so call the beam location. This would make more sense if it's got a little bit of space in it, because this is how I actually have to think of the beam emitter's there. If y equals 0, then now I just need to write code. It's not as conceptual as I thought. Okay, so if y equals 0, no, if okay, int dy equals target row minus row, int delta x equals same thing but for the column. So if we're right at 0, then direction is going to either be west or east. Direction will equal if it's less than 0, it'll be direction west, otherwise it'll be the east. Else, if dy is in the top half, if it's in the top half, it could be 3 things. So I want to check if it's less than where the x should be at this y. This is like algebra here. Then I want it to be west. If it's more than where this arm here, this spoke, this slope would be at a given y, or dy in our case, then I want it to be east. Otherwise it'll be north. Okay, so then let's see. if dx is less than negative dy. Or, no, just start with that. Direction equals direction west. Else if greater than dy. Yeah. That's the top half. Bottom half should be pretty similar. I feel like it's going to work a little bit better if I just refactor that. Then I can just say return. Why is my indentation so messed up? The nice thing about putting in a function is I don't have to do as many if-else's because it gives the execution path a different way to go that simplifies it. Oh, I don't need to do that. dy squared. So basically the same thing here, but it should be reversed. Alright, so let me think about this. I probably got it wrong in more than one place. So dy is going up this way. dy here, I'll just change this to a 0. Dy equals -1. Dy equals 1. So if dy is -1, then I want to check for x being less than -1. Okay. So this should be that way. And this should probably be that way. Dx greater than 1. Okay. Whereas if it's in the lower half, with the southern half, if dy is 1, then I want to check for dx being less than -1. Yep. Okay. That seems right to me. I don't need this. Okay. Okay, then need to change the direction of this. Or it could just be as simple as this. Maybe. I think I also need to my beam change effect. No, I've got that there. It might just work. It might just work without doing anything else. Okay. Huh. I'll see. So this guy becomes super deadly. He killed me immediately. Yep, he's on his way. He has his beam aimed on me. He's favoring the distance. So if I go up and down like this, he will keep first aligning with my row. And then once he's aligned, he'll advance. Oh, and as soon as he comes down there, I'm dead. Okay, up you go. Oh boy. This guy is proper deadly. And yeah, he's a killer. He is a real killer. It's pretty cool though. I think I like him. I think I like him. it may be a challenge to create levels where you have enough information to do something effective against him. It's like, okay, there, see, I can see him there. I know I'm dead if I go one more step in that direction. I can go north. I can go north. Now I know that he's just waiting around the corner. He's probably kept pace with me. So I can kind of deduce or make a pretty good guess that he will be ready to strafe me. Not strafe, just beam me if I move north again. So I won't go that way. I even know if I go off this direction. Oh, well then I got killed for a different reason. Okay, say my goal is to just get past him, to get to the west. How hard is that? I can go over the top of him here. Oops. Well, I can go south. See, but then these guys beam south. So it is kind of tricky. Okay, he's lining up. Okay, I got through. Then I can go west. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Try some more stuff. Okay, he's stuck on something. Okay. I can go under his beam. See, oh boy, that really is a pain when he's following along with me like that, because if I go north, he'll get me there. So I need to bring him back down. Now the other dude's got in the way. Okay, I'll flee north. Okay, I'm still okay. I can still get past him. Ah. Yeah, he's relentless. He will cut me down to size pretty quick if I don't have some place to escape to. So this would be a good character to put a little evil into. I mean, to make it present as like a relentless tracking creature. Okay, so I know that guy will be a pretty awesome enemy, actually. Better than the original Trencher. So the other thing that I thought I could repurpose him to pretty easily was this beam on a track principle. So to do that, I'm going to pull a different element called a rail out, and I'm going to use that to make a little cage around him. Rails. Rail. What direction? I forgot all my directions. Is north this way? I think it's north is this way. Yeah. So if I go rail east, nope, I was wrong. Let's try south. So this should stop him from just going wherever he wants. It should make a path that he must stay on. A little track for him. I'll make it all the way across. It occurs to me, I made this guy so deadly now that to have like a whole bunch of them on the level is maybe not going to be that fun. That's okay. I think where he's at now is a pretty good, scary, kind of like a one-off enemy. Not quite a boss, but something that when you see it, you're like, oh shit, I gotta worry about this thing. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So far, so good. I mean, he's... Oh, did he get out? You're not supposed to be outside there. I thought I put you inside of a gate. Do I have him? So these guys... South. Huh. Alright. So I want him to stay behind this gate. And I'm not sure why he came out of there. So I'm gonna set a breakpoint. And I'm gonna see why did he come out? I want him to stay behind that gate, behind the rail. So let's take a look. Beamer piece. And you know, it's gonna be like let's see. Let's go here again, and I'll have a breakpoint here. Run the debugger. Oh, it's already running. Okay, cool. Then head back here, hit play. Okay, so the rotate, that'll just do what it does. And let's see, react. Okay. Not that. Okay, so it's going to check, will he fall? No, he won't fall. Would he push a reactant? Moved. So it should come down to walk. Okay, step into fall, step out, step in the wood push, step out. Now let's go into walk. So I'm expecting that's all. Alright, so it should be down here. So let's just step through until I get down there. Okay. I did write some new code here, or I did some refactoring. I'm just looking for little simple mistakes I might have introduced. I don't see any. Okay. So this is the function that is supposed to be saying, no, you cannot move south. So I should be able to get the from-mo piece is the one I expect to have an edge on it. Yes, it's got a south edge. That's as expected. DR expect to be pointing down or south 1. What? Okay, then we could have a problem there. Maybe these two are reversed. Maybe those two are reversed. Maybe those two are reversed. From C, from R, from H, DC, DR. No, DC, DR. So DR here. 0, DC 1. To C9 from C8. So here it looks like I might be okay. I see one thing. Right now I'm not yet checking the case that I care about, because he's still attempting to move along that line. But let me just pretend that these parameters are what they would be for later when he tries to move outside. So DR would be 1, and I'd come down here and say, is DC negative 1? And it should be, no, it should be 0, and DC should not be that, it should be 0. And DR should not be negative 1, should be 1. So I'd say, okay, here's the issue right here. I've got an and here instead of an or. That's all it is. So that's it. That's going to be it. That's going to be just another simple logical mistake corrected. Come on, let's play. Alright, let's just get up there. I want to see what you're doing. So this is the thing where it's not working quite like I want it to. At least for this one case. So he's got the beam rotated down that line like that. But it would be nice if the beam would stay pointing south. This part I like. Yeah, something's up there. I think I crashed it maybe? No, it had something to do with me getting respawned into a place that was already filled up. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, it was actually that. So there's 4 exits to the egg, and all 4 of them had little dudes in them. And then I died, and there was no way for those queues to clear because they were basically blocking them. Okay. So I'm curious at what point will his beam go south? It should be pretty close to this diagonal here. It'll go south here. Yep. Nice. So I can keep going this way, and it will follow along. The only thing I don't like is if I get close to it, it points off in that other direction. So the problem with that is it's kind of trivial to be safe from the beam. But if I just go up here, then suddenly it's pointing east. Well, you know, another thing I could do, I could make a special piece that is like a track that it moves on. And if it's on the track, it doesn't rotate and it has to stay on the track. It's not bad for it to be just like a... Visually, I kind of like it as a metal ball. It's a little mechanistic. Goes with its relentless attitude about things and its deadliness. And there's this horror movie called Phantasm that had all these shiny metal balls flying around killing people. Kind of reminds me of that type of a creature. So I could say that there's a type of rail that just kind of goes through it. And if it's on that rail, then it's got to stay on that rail and not rotate. That would not be hard to code. That wouldn't be hard to code. That wouldn't be bad. I'm kind of into that. I am kind of into that. This guy's really close to being logically complete. I think I just have to do that track thing. Safe. Safe, safe, safe. Whoops, not safe. Okay. It might be kind of fun too, like you start out the game or you get to a point in the game where he's introduced And he's just on this track thing. And you see all these guys, and they're always on tracks. For a whole bunch of levels, they're always on tracks. And then you reach one level where there's this track, it goes along like this, and then at the end of it, instead of being properly terminated, it just peters off, or it's not like plugged into the ground on one side. And this guy just comes off the end. He's suddenly following you around wherever. And that's the first time you saw him like that, and you will freak out. You'll be like, no, no, you're not supposed to be able to do that. And then they just get extra deadly. They just get way, way deadlier. And they're chasing you around. And they're not so hard to, and they're not so easy to evade as they used to be. So here, I'll be safe in here, right? I'll be safe, be safe, be safe. Dead. Dead. Okay, that's something I need to prevent. But I think what I was going to do for that actually was, so I'm like permadeath now because he's just blocking the only open exit on the egg. But what I was going to do was make the eggs launch the characters out an extra square so that they would end up out there, and then they would clear the area. Right now they're kind of getting caught inside of the egg exits. Okay, pretty happy with this guy. Pretty happy with him. I'm going to try one other thing that seems like fun. I'm just going to make these walls be too high instead of one, because that'll make it so it's like a little maze that you're inside of with them, and that he can't just walk out of. And I think that'll be fun. I actually would not mind getting on to some of the more visual stuff, because I just know like this can look a whole lot better, and it wouldn't be hard for me to make it look better fast. So it's but it is a goal of mine to be logic complete first, because that will enable some other things. And also there's some value in just saying that that a major component or milestone is finished. There's some psychological value, there's some organizational value. Like you have a clearer idea of where you are. You can't really kid yourself. If you can say, I am all the way done with this one aspect of the game, or I mean, any type of project, software, where there's a system that is so complex that it can fool you into thinking you are further along than you actually are. Whenever you are in a project that is that complex, as almost any software project is, there's value in categorizing the tasks that you have to complete. So I could just say, I'm just going to keep going on this every day. On any given day, I'll just work on whatever seems cool. And if I do all of one thing first, that's fine. Or if I do a little bit of one thing and then switch to something else, that's fine. That's one way of doing it. And it appeals to me because, frankly, the one thing I'm fatigued with from my day job is having to think about the end result of projects. I mean, not heavily fatigued, but you come home from a day of work and then do the same thing. It's that can be a little fatiguing. So on this, it's just me, and it's my moonlighting time, and nobody really gives a shit where I'm at with it at this point. There's really zero pressure on it. There's only just this pressure of me failing myself and the things I set out to do. And to stop myself from disappointing me, just a tiny bit of thought to goals and progress is what I choose. Because I do want to finish this. I'll be a lot happier about this whole project if it is not something on my computer, solely on my computer, but it is available in the world for people to play, and they get into it and get angry at it and say it sucks, say it's great. When it has that extra interaction with all those other people in the world, it's cool. It adds another dimension to my own enjoyment of it. It adds information about people to me, like what they're like when they interact with something that I created. Yeah, I guess I get to bring some people happiness if it's a good game. That's cool, but it's not really that rewarding to me from like an altruistic standpoint. It's more just like what is it? What is it exactly? Why is it a fun thing to release a game into the world and not just have it sit there like a statue, but have people play it? Keep in mind, I've done this before. Done this whole release a game into the world and have a bunch of play it thing multiple times. I don't know. I can come up with a pretty easy answer, but it maybe doesn't really get to the heart of it. You could say it's about making yourself feel more important, something along those lines. Like, a lot of people are into me, so therefore I'm more important because I made this game. But there's something really a lot more inherently satisfying about a game than other types of things you could create, including performances. It's one thing I've never really been that into. the idea of performing. Although I've done some performances. And there are some people I know, like actors and comedians and singers. I don't know, like famous people in those categories, but I know people that are like strivers that that will, you know, they'll go to 3 different clubs in one night, pay for all their expenses, just for the hope. I mean, like, you know, gas and okay, I'm like kind of rambling a little bit in an unfocused way, but there are people that will put a lot of energy into just getting a chance to get on a stage and perform in front of people. And that's something too that you also have to appreciate. There's more to it than just the ego. There is this aspect of expressing yourself in a very pure way as a performer, but even that has not really appealed to me. Even that. A game is like you get to be some kind of god. I hate to return to that as a theme, since the game is about a god and people living in its world. But you create this thing, and it's a world, and it goes by your rules, whatever you set for them to be. To have it be something that is capable of interacting with the most intelligent species on this planet, that is a strange and particular joy. So yeah, I'm really kind of, this is like a dangerous way to talk when you're doing something that is not really related to the thing that you're talking about, and you're just kind of letting yourself talk like almost like on a different channel than the other one that you're on. It's quite possible to say some stupid things. If I was fully paying attention to what I was saying, I might say some slightly different things, but I think I'll stand by the gist of what I said. All right, I'm like really spending a lot of time on this little thing, which is not that important. Let me just, because this is definitely a big throwaway level. So let me just play with it a little bit. The whole thing, please. Trencher. Okay, that's fine. There we go. And then let's change the direction. South. And 8, 4, 5, 7. I don't really have to set this initial, like, it doesn't matter, it'll get recalculated, but it just helps to start out in a way that looks neat and tidy. Okay, so that should do it. Let's play it. So now he's in a more confined space. Except apparently I didn't put him down in the trench. I hope that's it. Otherwise he climbed out, which is not what I wanted. Okay, are you... Okay, you're up 1 high. Okay, so let's put you down to there. Try that out. So is this guy more deadly or less deadly when I put him in the trench? I think probably less. But there is a thing, like, if you also can't get out of the trench, then you better not be along that line when he gets to you. So he's going to come over. I know he's coming over. As soon as he rounds that corner, I'm dead. So I'm going to get out of that. But then he's just going to fall along this wall. Okay. Okay, I died there. Now he's off somewhere, walking towards me. Oh, died. Alright, he's coming. He's coming to get me. Where is he at? It's the thing. It's like he could be right around this corner. If I go up or if I go north, he could be right there. He was. I do like that aspect of it. That's pretty cool. That's okay. So he's coming. Instant death with his beam. Now he's just waiting there. Just, oh, it's coming over the top now. I don't want that. Fling there. Fling there. I'm still safe. Am I safe? Yeah, I'm safe. I've got the trench. But I can't go there unless I get ahead of him. So I can come back this way. Come all the way back over here. And fling west. I've got a little bit of a lead on him now. He's coming back my way. And then I can get past. The camera here is not great. In fact, it's bad. Okay. Man, the sound effects I could make with this guy. It's death if I go one more. I can kind of barely see him poking out around the edge. Now, it might make sense visually to make him so that if you slow down and you pay attention, you can see that he's there. I could see adding a light source to him. Like right now I can just barely see the edge of him, but a proper light source, that might be a good thing to do. That would give you more information that would allow you to react. Although debatable that that's better, because there is something pretty tense and interesting about deducing where he might be instead of just knowing. I think I can get no, he'll have me right here. Yep. Okay, quite a few puzzles I can make with this guy. Many puzzles I can make with him. Lots of drama I can add with this guy. Alright. It's cool. I am going to make a track for the beamer to go along. I'm going to do that. That won't be much work. That I might be able to get done in the next session, maybe 2 sessions. That'll be pretty cool, because that will be a new game element that is logic complete and has a ton of puzzles. I can make with this guy that are possible, and it adds drama to the game. Like, it feels like something scary coming after you. Especially when I add in the right cosmetics, the right sound effects. So this guy, I feel really good about him now. I didn't at the beginning of the session, and that's accomplishing a lot just in an hour and 24 minutes, something like that, to go from kind of feeling iffy about the element to, yeah, I like this thing. I want to use it in levels. Yeah, that's real good. Okay, tomorrow I've got a slightly different thing coming up. I'm going to do a very short live coding session. I might even skip the live coding session. It kind of depends how my time shapes up tomorrow. But then I'll go directly to this other thing, and let me show you what it is. I'm only gonna deviate like this on rare occasions. I have good reason to do it. Okay. So this is a game a friend and colleague of mine made called Twisty Little Passages. I'm going to play through it tomorrow. It is like how to say it without like belaboring it. It is themed like a role-playing game, like Dungeons and Dragons type of a thing. But it's a proper puzzle game. So you write on this booklet, which is laminated. You take a dry erase marker and you write directly onto it. If you don't like what you wrote, you wipe it off because it's dry erase. And here, I'll move this up to the camera so you can see it closer. Basically, you walk around this dungeon and you have to pick the one path which will make it through each level of the dungeon or each area of the dungeon, and the pages have different areas of the dungeon, and you basically, there's no dungeon master, it's you and the rules of the game, and you just have to figure it out with logic. It's a solo adventure. I'm going to take this table right here, and figure out either how to put it close to the camera that is up here in the front of my computer such that it shows the board well, or I actually have another little webcam thing that I may just rig up so that it points straight down at the table. But I won't do a lot of this thing I'm doing now, which is walking around with my head chopped off. I'll have the camera angles figured out. So I'm going to play through that tomorrow. I'm going to do that at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'll probably do that in lieu of a live coding session. But I'm going to do some coding work tomorrow because of my progress every day rule. I've got my progress every day up to 22 days in a row that I've worked on my game without any breaks in between. And it's kind of like that, 22 days without an accident, or 22 days clean and sober. I just want to have that number go up and up and up, and have it be as high as I can get it. Well, actually, it'd be the real thing is to finish the game. But if I don't take one day off between now and when the game is finished, then I don't know, in some stupid way that'll make me happy. So probably that will be a 3-digit number at some point. But obviously that's not the main thing I care about. I want to make sure the game is finished. But that progress every day thing I found is like a good little mechanism to make sure I keep moving on something. So yeah, tomorrow there will be some progress on the game. It may not come on a live coding stream because I'm going to do that gaming event in the evening at about the same time. and I welcome you to join me. That will be a fun time. All right, gonna stop the stream. This is it for this session. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I would like to see you come back to my session sometime. You can see the schedule down here in the corner. Yeah. Anyways, bye. Have a nice night. Stop in the stream. Stop in the stream. Stop in the stream. Stop. 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 Stop.